only promote the truth.
What's going on, everybody? Happy New Moon Day. Happy New Moon Day. Feliz Dia Luna. That's Happy New Moon Day in Spanish. I am so excited to be able to share some information and help a lot of people, because Satan has done a great job. Shatan has done a great job just fooling the entire world at like its foundational roots, like all the way down at the roots. Think about what he's been able to pull off. The calendar, something as simple as the timekeeping mechanism, has been hijacked, and there's no way around it. You can't argue this, and anyone that tries to do so, they make themselves look foolish. That's for real. Feliz Luna Nueva. Lena got me straight. Feliz Luna Nueva, all the way from Colombia. I'm telling y'all right now, this subject is so critical. It has your eternal soul at stake. Based on how you deal with this message will determine whether you go into eternity. It's one of the 4 foundational points. You cannot keep the 10 commandments, which means if you do not guard and keep the 10 commandments, you will be found a lawbreaker and you will be considered lawless. Now, we got to look at what Yahushua said when he was here on earth. We got to look at it. Brother Daniel Libby said, everybody hit the like button. Y'all show Yahuwah some love for Happy New Moon Day. Thank you, big brother Sean. Thank you, brother Sean. There's a lot of people. This is so refreshing. I know when I figured this out, it took me, I found Yahuwah May 2007. I figured this out somewhere around February 2008. It took me about 6, 7, 8 months. Thank you, Brother William. It took me about 6, 7 months to get my brain around that. Not only did I find Yahuwah's name, not only did I find out that they hijacked the Savior's name on earth, Yahushua, I found out that they hijacked the calendar. It took me about 6, 7 months, man. Figure that out. Maybe 8 at max, but once I figured it out, I didn't sit around and argue. I didn't sit around and go, man, try to justify the world's ways. I just didn't do it. So I'm going to share some things with y'all. We're going in. I want to share some things with you just to get you to stop and think. And there's so many of you that right now you're going to be set free. Because what I found out is once a person gets Yahuwah's name straight, right? And then you gotta quickly get this calendar straight. Come on, Brother Daniel. Cote in the building. We doing kingdom business for real, for real. Yeah. Yeah, Brother Daniel, man, you have to come and join me on this live today. We got to talk a little bit. Brother Daniel going to give y'all some insight. Brother Daniel, if you could join the live today, send an email, info@promotethetruth.com. If you could jump on here just for a few minutes, send an email. The staff will send you the link to get in here. I'm telling y'all right now, this is like amazing. Once you figure out Yahuwah's name, it's important you right away figure out this calendar issue. Why? Because now you've called on his name. Thank you, Sister Queen in the building. You called on his name, right? Now you have forgiveness of sins. Now, this is the issue. This is important. Once you have forgiveness of sins, no one can enter the kingdom who knowingly and willingly breaks the commandments. You see the issue? Man, oh man. Y'all see the issue? So for some of you, you got a little reprieve because you didn't know it. You didn't know any better. But see, when Yahuwah, when you call on his name, he takes the scales off your eyes and he begins to reveal things to you. You see, that when a set apart spirit comes upon you, it comes up on you with fire. What's the purpose of the fire? The fire is to burn out all the impurities. So you're going to start identifying things. Rare anybody can pick it up the first day. But what happens is you're given eyes to see. He says this over and over with the prophets. He goes, if the people would humble themselves, I'll give them eyes to see and ears to hear. Then I would heal them. You need a healing. Well, what happens is you call on Yahuwah's name, but say you don't got the calendar straight. I'm going to read you something from the true scriptures. Man, we're getting very close. We had a panel happen this morning. We had a panel meeting this morning with about 7 or 8 of the Kahal. These are like leaders out there in the field who are choosing to come under the obligation of reviewing the Brit Hadash that has been translated. So now we're just down to grammar. We're down to getting the grammar tight. And this is slated to be done by Sunday, the 9th. On the 10th, Monday, we get it over to the typesetter. The typesetter takes us several days to get the typesetting set up. Then it goes to the printer. Woo! Think about this. I love it. I mean, we're like right here now. We're all up on, we done come this journey, 2,000 plus years. All of our ancestors. Almost, who can you say didn't drop the ball? I love that. Deborah Brady said, that's how I found Promote the Truth. It was the calendar. It was the name. She said the name first, then the calendar. Well, I'm going to read something to you from Matatiyahu. That's Matthew. Son named Matthew, which his name means the gift is Yahuwah. You about to get a gift today on New Moon Day. This marks the beginning of the real 4th month of the year. Of the real year, today is the real 4th month. What do they call it? What number do they give it? They give it month 6. They say today is month 6. Why? Because they want to put you in complete paganism. That's why they want to do that to you. Who's they? Satan and his minions, which is all these government leaders. Now I'm in Matatiyahu chapter 7. Verse 15. Matatiyahu chapter 7. What's up, Ryan in the building? Coming in from England. Brother Ryan is in the house. Matatiyahu, Matthew 7:15 starts out and says, watch out for false prophets. Watch out for false prophets. What do prophets do? They try to tell you what's going to come in the future. They're dealing with time. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you dressed in sheep's clothing, but inside they are vicious wolves. That's what the world's calendar is. I want you to look at this calendar different. It is in sheep's clothing. It looks innocent. It's just some names and some numbers on it. How much could this hurt me? This calendar that I got on my phone and that I got on my desk and that the world goes by, every government going by this thing. Think about this. That calendar that you got on your phone right now is a wolf in sheep's clothing. 16. However, you will know them by the fruits they display. Do you gather grapes out of thorn bushes or figs from thistles? We don't do that. Every good tree produces good fruit, but a rotten tree produces bad fruit. What has this world's calendar system produced as far as how the world operates? Can you let your kids run outside and play by themselves and don't worry about it? Can you leave your doors unlocked, your windows up, and go to sleep in peace at night? Can you go to the store, leave your windows rolled down? Don't lock your doors? See, what is this calendar and this system? Thank you, Brother Edwin. What has it done? What kind of fruit is following this kind of calendar and the type of system that it creates? What has it done? See, it produces bad fruit. But see, a good tree, verse 18, cannot produce bad fruit. And a rotten tree cannot produce good fruit. You see, the calendar that you got, it can't produce good fruit. It's only going to continue to perpetuate more lawlessness. See, you don't understand that calendar is attached to the murder rate. That calendar is attached to adultery. That calendar is attached to stealing. You don't get it. That calendar is attached to jealousy. I'm going to help you understand this on New Moon Day. Therefore, you will know them by the fruits they produce. And then Yahusha says something critical in the next verse. Verse 21. He says, therefore, all right, verse 20 again. Therefore, you will know them by the fruits they produce. Then he says, not everyone that says to me, Master, Master, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Doesn't that get your attention? I'm going to tell you something about your attention. You think your intentions are what he's going to gauge you by. You cannot cash good intentions. Only results, only the fruits are going to matter. He said, not everyone that says to me, Master, Master, will enter the kingdom of heaven. But only, he says only. So that's why we got to have a come together meeting here. He says, but only those who obey the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter heaven. What y'all gonna do with this? Huh? What are y'all going to do with this? It's crazy. Okay, now we got to figure out. Thank you, Sister Emily. See, once we hear this, we got to stop and break it down. Watch this. You're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven just by calling him Master, Master, or saying he understands my heart, or he knows me. You're not going to be able to get in on that. He says the only people going to get in the kingdom of heaven is those who do the will of my Father who's sitting in heaven. And that encompasses the entire universe. That's the only people getting in. Then you got to ask yourself a question. What is the will of the Father? What is his will? Well, he's going to tell us. See, most people don't keep reading. You got to keep reading. You just got to keep reading. Verse 22. He takes it and he's going to tell you what the will is. What is the will of the Father? He goes, on the day of judgment. Now he's taking us right up. Who gets in, who gets out, who's going to be out. So he says the will of the Father in heaven, and then he takes us right up to the day of judgment. He goes, Then, listen, on the day of judgment, many gonna say to me, Master, Master, watch this. He comes back and says, you're gonna say it again. He goes, on the day of judgment, many will say to me, Master, Master. First, he just said, not everybody says to me, Master, Master's going into heaven. Then he says, on the day of judgment, it's going to be a gang of people saying, Master, Master. Like, hey, being respectful, Master. Didn't we prophesy in your name? Imagine that part. Look how many people don't even get invited to have a chance. They stuck on the name. Think about this. This is nuts. How you going to prophesy in his name and you don't know his name? Look how many people get cut out on that, Sister Shannon. Whole bunch of people get cut out. Isn't that amazing? You get cut out. Didn't we prophesy? Now, that takes the bar to another level. That means some of you listening to me, you know his name, and then he gives you the gift of prophecy for the edification, for the building of the assembly, the body. That's why you have that gift. But even if you got that gift, doesn't guarantee you going in. Some people out there flexing because, man, I got these gifts. And Yahushua's saying, all right, you the bomb with that prophecy. You awesome. But you might not get in. There's going to be other people say, didn't we cast out demons in your name? When you have the name of Yahuwah, all the demons stop and shudder. So you will see, you'll be able to speak to a demon and say, shut up or come out. And they're going to have to listen to you. This is. He says, even if you can cast out demons, that don't mean you getting in. Or did we do many miracles in your name? There will be some people call fire down out of heaven. We're going to more than likely see that in our lifetime. There's going to be people raising people from the dead, laying hands on the sick and the sick getting recovered, getting healed. We're going to see it for those of us that's ready to see it. But he says, even if you prophesy, even if you cast out demons, even if you do miracles, it doesn't guarantee you getting in. Unless you do the will of my Father, which is what? He going to tell us the line. And then I will say to them, get away from me. You are workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You done called on Yahuwah. You done got the power to set apart spirit. You mean to tell me you prophesying, you casting out demons, you doing miracles? You're raising the dead, everything. Yet, if you're a worker of lawlessness, he's going to say to you, away from me. Get away from me. I never knew you. What law is he talking about? He tells us in the scriptures what he's talking about. He's talking about the 10 specific commandments. How you going to run this race, find his name, and then mess around and not get in? Can you imagine you walking up to Yahuwah and him saying, you had my name, didn't you? You was promoting my name, wasn't you? But why was you keeping the Sabbath from Friday evening to Saturday evening? Where did you see me tell you to do that in my word? Pull out the scriptures. Come on. I'm waiting. and you start scrambling. Now, say you didn't have the true scriptures, you're really in trouble. But he's still going to condemn you based on the pagan generated scripture. You still going to get condemned on it. Because you can't prove Friday evening to Saturday evening in not one scripture verse. I challenge anybody in the world, and don't be just talking about it. Stop talking. Stop trying to smear. Stop trying to bark. Put some money up. You got to put up some money. Think about that. You got to put some money up. If you say, hey, put $5,000 up. Let's just throw a number out there. Put up $5,000. And then you go get the scriptures and you prove to me it's Friday to Saturday. Friday evening to Saturday evening from the scriptures. Prove it to me. Friday evening to Saturday evening. You don't, listen, you don't lost your $5,000 off the word Friday. Because I'm saying, look, put your money up and be specific. Because every word, I'm going to go get a scripture. And I want to see if you want to obey this word. It says every word we must give an account for. Not one little jot or one little tittle will go away. Everything, hey, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Do you agree with that? They're going to be like, well, yeah. All right. Where's this Friday mess come from? What you going to do with that? You can't get past the word Friday. Because I want to see the word Friday in those scriptures. In any scriptures. Somebody put it in the chat. Watch. Somebody put it in the chat. Any scriptures. Any ones that's tried to translate. They ain't got nerve enough to put the word Friday in there. All right. What about Saturday? Saturn's Day. How come you can't find Friday in the scriptures? Because that's Frigga's Day. Y'all like to get Frigga with it? Any freaks in the house? All y'all love orgies? Prostitution? Sodomy? That's your pagan god, Frigga. Frigga. Get freaky with it. You think that's in the scriptures? Frigga Day? What about Saturn's Day? Worship the planet Saturn. Is that in the scriptures? Nope. All right, you lost your $5,000. I tell you what, before I take your money, I'm going to give you another chance. Brother Benjamin, I had a good Zoom with Brother Benjamin and Sister Yamani yesterday. Good one. He said, Jay, if you get any takers, let me know. Like to put $1 or $2 in that pot. Easy money. See? How y'all be putting up some money? Ain't no Saturday in there. But let's just say we say, look, we know that you are tripping on Friday and Saturday because you can't find it. What about Monday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Any of those in the scriptures? No. That's on your world's calendar, though. So that tells you it's pagan once you understand that Monday is moon worship. See, we say Happy New Moon Day. We don't worship the moon that's created. That makes us worship who created it, the Creator. That's why we say Happy New Moon Day. Why? It tells us that the Creator gave us a timepiece to tell when a new month starts. Come on, y'all. Is that awesome or what? So we say Happy New Moon Day to worship the Creator. But when you all hooked up on Monday, Moon's Day, now you're worshiping the thing that's created. Tuus, the god Tuus, is Tuesday. Woden, the god of war, Wednesday. Thor's Day. I know y'all know about Thor. It's all Hollywood maxed up on that one. Thursday is Thor's Day. Do any of y'all worship Thor? Put it in the chat if Thor is your most high. Why is a day named after Thor? Why is a day named after Woden? Why? You got to ask yourself, why? Why am I forced in this situation? I'm going to hook you up. Hang tight, Yuri. Yuri, yeah, I'm going to hook you up. We got everything in Spanish too. Hey, Lena, drop the Spanish links in there for Yuri. What about Sunday? Dia Solis. Worshiping the almighty sun. You got the sun on Sunday. You got the moon on Monday. They're worshiping pagans. Your calendar is a pagan instrument. So when you go in front of Yahuwah Mashiach and he says to you, I said you cannot be lawless because the will of my Father, he told us, away from me, you workers of lawlessness. Well, if I wasn't lawless, that means I followed the law, I would be obeying the will of the Father. He told us the will because it's the only thing that Yahuwah ever wrote with his own hand on tablets of stone. He wrote it with his own fingers. Y'all digging? Y'all getting it? Everyone that hears my words and follows them will be like a wise person who built the foundation of their house on solid rock. The rain came, the floods came, the winds blew and beat against it. But the house did not fall because the foundation was built on a rock. But everyone that hears my words and does not do them will be like a foolish person who built their house on sand. The rain came, the floods came, the winds blew and beat against the house. Then the house fell down and was completely destroyed. Why? You see, you follow this calendar, you build on sand. You can't stand. I can ask you 3 or 4 questions. You can't stand. I said, can you tell me where you see Friday or Saturday? Friday evening to Saturday evening. Nope, because Friday and Saturday. Okay, tell me evening to evening in the scriptures where it tells you to keep the 4th commandment. The Shabbat. The weekly Shabbat. Show me in the scriptures. Don't play no games with me. Show me in the scriptures. Now let me tell you what they're going to do. I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. Matter of fact, I'm going to prove it right here. Why are we playing? I'm going to tell you right now what every person that does evening to evening, I'm going to show you the scriptures that they're trying to use to do evening to evening. So by me doing this, I don't know if I've ever stopped and took the time. Everybody take your hands, put it up in the air, and then grab and just tear it down. What we get ready to do is we're going to tear it down. See, you can't stand. You got your $5,000 in this theoretical example sitting in the pot. Me and my brother Benjamin, we got ours sitting in the pot. And brother Benjamin trying to raise you some. Brother Benjamin sitting there going, listen, I'm going to put some more. Hey, I like to raise you. I bet you Brother Benjamin said, I'll raise you 5. And then I'm telling you what scriptures they're going to go take us to. You know what we prove? Watch this. This ain't, like Brother Benjamin said, this is easy money. Easy money. Once you get it, you got it. I'm going to go over. Come on, patience. We're going to tear it down. Put it in the chat. Everybody put in the chat that's ready to tear it down. You done with dumb stuff. You done just going along to get along. Put tear it down in the chat. Put some fire emojis with it. This is easy money. It's an easy way for you to decide if you're going to follow Yahuwah. Easy. See, you can't follow Yahuwah unless you got the calendar right. You're going to hear him say, away from me. I never knew you. And guess what some of y'all going to say? I thought. You better not take no I thoughts to Yahuwah. He ain't going to accept it. He going to say, I gave you a brain. I gave you talents to be able to research. And man, I messed around. I gave you the internet. You end up, and now I gave you promote the truth. If you got this wrong, you in trouble. Now watch. They're going to go to Leviticus, YAHUAH. This is where they're going to try to prove it. They're going to go to YAHUAH. Okay? Chapter 23 is where they're going. They're going to get on verse 5. Now, I'm going to start at verse 4, and you tell me when it clicks to you that you can pick this apart. These are the feasts and appointed times of Yahuwah, set apart gatherings which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. Now, when Yahuwah says appointed times, soon as he says appointed times, he says that means specific. If you got an appointment, you know you got to be somewhere at a certain day on a certain time. They don't just say, well, just show up. See, Yahuwah said, I got appointments for you. I am setting appointments on my calendar for you. And it's very specific when I want you to pay attention and observe these times. Watch. He says on verse 5 in YAHUAH, that's Leviticus, chapter 23, 5. In the first new moon. What's he doing talking about new moon? See, it's, when you really are dialed in, it's hard to even get through a verse because you can peel all the lies apart in one or two verses. You can sit there and tear it down. I've already torn them down. I'm going to say your Friday evening to your Saturday evening for your weekly Shabbat, is it based upon the new moon? Guess what everyone I'm going to say? All you Friday to Saturday people, they hooked on the world's calendar. They have no idea how deep Satan's got his hooks in them. They got them hooked. I say, are you keeping it based upon the new moon? They say, no. You're not supposed to keep the calendar based on the new moon. All of them say it. I say, okay, I'm going to keep reading. In the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evenings, is the Pesach, Passover, to Yahuwah. They're going to get that verse. That's their primary verse they're going to. I'm going to give you another one in a second. That's their go-to verse. Is Leviticus 23:5 is their go-to verse to try to tell you that to keep the Sabbath from evening to evening. But Yahuwah said, you got to do it based on my appointed times. And he's very specific. What is the evenings to evenings for with this appointment? It's for one thing, the Passover, the Passover. He's only talking about the Passover. You want to know why? You got to use some common sense, fam. You can't sit down and just play dumb when it's convenient. You got to go all the way through the common sense. He said on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evenings, is the Passover to Yahuwah. Then he says something very unique in verse 6. On the 15th day of this same new moon is the feast of matzah, unleavened bread, to Yahuwah. You see that? So now we're talking about 2 different days. We're talking about 2 different days. Anybody that keeps Friday evening to Saturday evening, they're dealing with 2 different days. 2 different dates is more specific. They're dealing with 2 different dates. Yahuwah didn't say keep the Sabbath days. He said keep the Shabbat, the Sabbath day. Very specific with that appointment. Okay? So now we know where these people are getting this from. They took this one time, then they try to double it up with a 2 time. Now, how do we know Yahuwah is talking about just specifically dealing with the Passover? Because he comes up and says the 15th day. But he did something else very unique. Because you notice on and nobody brings this up, so I think I'm about to really rip a shred in some stuff. You notice on the Feast of First Fruits, Bakarim, you notice he don't say start that. And you notice he didn't say start matzah in the evening. How come Yahuwah didn't say, let's back it up. Let's deal with the Passover before we move forward. How come Yahuwah didn't say, in the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evenings, is the Passover to Yahuwah. On the 15th day of this same new moon is the feast of matzah to Yahuwah. Why didn't Yahuwah, if you're supposed to keep that Shabbat, because that's a high Shabbat, by the way. That's a high Shabbat. That's one of his Shabbats. Why didn't he say, on the 14th day of the first new moon, between the evenings, is the Passover and the matzah? Come on, Brother Daniel. How come he didn't say Passover and matzah starting on the 14th day? He was specific to the Passover starts in the evening. Why? Who knows why Yahuwah decided to do that? But we know he was specific because he didn't tell us to keep the matzah, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, starting from the evening. Now watch. He goes down to verse 10. Speak to the children of Israel, say to them, when you come into the land which I am giving you, and you shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits from your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for your acceptance. The day after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. Now we got first fruits. Yahuwah didn't say, keep it in the evening before. He said, keep it the day after the Shabbat. Is this clicking for any of y'all? We tearing it down. I'm just sitting here. I got my Hey, bring my stuff, my scrubs, because I'm doing some surgery right now. Y'all gotta bring me some scrubs. I'm in here operating. Is that difficult to understand? I'm operating. He didn't say keep first fruits from the evening before. Hold on. This is a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So people ask why you keep it. He says the law forever. How to keep it not being confused is, did he say keep the matzah starting the evening before going into the next evening? No. Did he say keep the first fruit starting the evening before to the next evening? No. Let's listen to this one. And you shall count for yourself 7 complete Shabbats, starting the day after the Shabbat from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering. Don't get caught up in all these big words. To Yahuwah. Then after the 7th Shabbat, you shall count 50 days, which is what we're about to observe. And you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahuwah. All right, so he's telling us what to do. This is the Feast of Weeks. Nothing, I'm still challenging my $5,000 players. Nothing in here on the Feast of Weeks says keep. When you get there, watch this. It says you should count 50 days and you shall bring a new grain offering to Yahuwah. Then he goes in, says what we're to bring. And the priest shall wave them. They are set apart for the priest. On this same day, hold on. Verse 21, we're dealing with the Feast of Weeks, Shamut. Now we're dealing with the 4th of the 7 feasts. Yeah. I know that. I ain't got there. My wife's coming here going, hey, Rick, I'm going to get there. I know why these people, I got 2 verses. Remember I told y'all 2 verses. But verse 21, it says something very specific. When are we to observe? When are we to observe Shabbat, the Feast of Weeks, pagan name Pentecost? So people call it Pentecost. When are we to observe it? Verse 21. On this same day, you shall proclaim a set apart gathering for yourselves. You shall do no servile work. This is a law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. He said on the same day. He didn't say when you get to the evening before the day to the next evening. Y'all see it? Do y'all see it? Sister Queen, do y'all see it? How many of y'all see it? If he wanted us to do the Shabbat from evening to evening, he would have told us. If he wanted us to do it, he started out with the Sabbath. Hold on, let me go back up. 23. He goes, I'm going to start with verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, these are the appointed times of Yahuwah. That means I'm about to be specific. When he says appointed, I'm going to tell, these are the specific times of Yahuwah. You are to proclaim, that means announce them, and set apart gatherings. And he starts out, he says, 6 days work is done. But the 7th day is a Shabbat of rest, a set apart gathering. Hold on. He said, but the 7th what? The 7th day. Why didn't he say right there, the evening before the 7th day to the next evening of the 7th day is when you keep the Shabbat? He didn't say it. He's very specific. He says 6 days work is done. But the 7th day is a Shabbat of rest, a set apart gathering. You do no work. It is the Shabbat to Yahuwah in all your dwellings. So he didn't say go evening to evening at any time on the Shabbat. He only said it with the Pasaha and another one. That's how you know for no. He didn't leave you with one witness. He's going to give you 2 witnesses. And upon the establishments of 2 witnesses, everything is established. Upon the, I should say, on a witness of 2 witnesses agreeing on any one thing, a thing is established. So Yahuwah's going to give us 2 witnesses in Uruguay, Leviticus 23. Look at how simple this is. He didn't give us. When he gets to the Pasaha, he goes, in the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evenings, he says between the evenings, that is the Pasaha to Yahuwah. So he was specific. I want you to do that between the evenings. Did he say that? Did he say that is the seventh day Sabbath? Nope. He said it's the Pasaha. Keep going, Jay. Now we've established the Shabbat, Feast of Weeks, pagan name, Pentecost, is on a day. Verse 21 of 23 Leviticus, on that same day. Okay? Now watch what happens. Verse 23. Now we're going to get to the 5th of the 7th. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 24, speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you shall have a rest, a remembrance of Teruah, trumpets, a set apart gathering. You shall do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. He specifically said, on the 7th new moon, that's the 7th month. That's what moon, that's where you get the word month from. You get it out of moon. How do we know? Why is Yahuwah saying new moon? Y'all think he just arbitrarily I'm just going to say new moon. I'm going to get you to count something from something that's just for like 7 times. But don't use it to count nothing else. But then we go, well, Yahuwah, what is it that we use to count if we don't use what you gave us to count your appointed time with? What else should we use to count with? That's the question to all the people in the world that hate Yahuwah's real calendar, that are hooked on the world's pagan calendar. The question is, there's people that call on the name of Yahuwah. Thank you, Brother Larry. For real, this is for real, for real. And the majority of them right now that call on the name of Yahuwah, they come out of Jesus, out of Christianity. They got Yahuwah's name, and then they literally keep the feast. This is why when Yahusha, when he was here, he said, your own words, your own behaviors are going to be a witness against you. And Brother Joe just said it, calendars didn't exist back then. How do you think they kept track of everything? Yahuwah's telling them, here's how you're going to go get to my appointed times. So all the people that call on Yahuwah and they actually keep the feast, I'm telling you, when it comes the first new moon on the 14th day, you're going to see you're going to see almost every person calls on the name of Yahuwah, they're going to observe Pesach. They're going to do it. They're going to observe the Passover. They're going to observe Feast of Unleavened Bread. They're going to observe Bakarim, the Feast of First Fruits. They're going to observe Shavuot. They're going to observe this one, the Feast of Trumpets, Teruah. They're going to observe it. Then you tell them, what are y'all doing? You ask them, why are you telling them? What are y'all doing keeping the Sabbath from Friday evening to Saturday evening every week? What's your justification of doing that? Do you know what these people going to say? I done talked to some of them. They going to say, look, Brother Daniel done gifted out 20 memberships. Who's taking them memberships, Brother Daniel? That way you'll be a supporter here with our channel on YouTube. Think about this. You go ask them, well, why you do that? Well, the calendar hadn't changed since the beginning of time. It's been a continuous 7-day cycle since the beginning of time. And I said, how do you prove that? Do you know that not one of them can prove what they're saying? Not one of them can prove what they're saying, fam. They're reaching up going, It's just no. It's just been continuous. Now there has been, I did a training on this. And I proved, how many calendars I proved? At least 15, 20 different calendars I brought out over the course of time. See, before this current world's calendar, it's the Gregorian calendar. It's named after Pope Gregory. Do you follow the ways of the Catholics? Then Yahuwah is not for you. You see, the calendar you're following now is a Roman pagan Pope Gregory calendar. The Pope claims to be the Father, to be the Most High. Pagan. Do you follow that? Then you keep following the world's pagan calendar. But the calendar before that, this is what's so stupid about this. Hold on. I gotta tell you, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. Watch this. How many of y'all getting this? This is so simple. If you gotta just stop, you gotta just think about it. Y'all not gonna believe what I'm gonna tell you. All y'all that's hooked on Friday evening to Saturday evening. Watch this. All y'all hooked on it. Y'all gonna have to stop. When I tell y'all what I'm about to tell you, y'all gonna go, come on, man. All right. Before the Gregorian calendar, do you know that in 1581, the year 1581, that ain't long ago. We talking about 500 years, less than 500 years ago, right? We talking less than 500 years ago. It was the Julian calendar that the world ran on, named after Julius Caesar. Why did they have a Julius Caesar calendar? Who ran the world? Rome. The Caesar was the dictator. We're talking about 1582 is when the Gregorian calendar came in. That's like bizarre. The Gregorian calendar was first adopted by the Catholic countries such as Italy. Y'all ready for this? This is crazy. The Gregorian calendar was first adopted by Catholic countries such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Poland. These countries dropped 10 days from October to realign the calendar with the equinox. Y'all got to be shocked by what I'm saying. Some of y'all getting un-Greek, un-Roman. Some of y'all, the chains is coming off your feet, scales coming off your eyes, and you going, man, Brother Jay, thank you for taking the time to get me to reason this out in my mind so I can feel great with this decision to follow Yahuwah, because Yahuwah makes sense. All right, I'm going to read it again. The Gregorian calendar was first adopted by Catholic countries So it remained Julian calendar in a lot of places. But it was first adopted in 1582 by Catholic countries such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Poland. These countries dropped 10 days from October to realign the calendar with the equinox. Now, from 1583 to 1700, other European countries gradually adopted the Gregorian calendar over the following centuries. For example, France adopted at the end of 1582 the Protestant states of the, quote, Holy Roman Empire in 1700, and the British Empire, including the American colonies, America, 1752. Nineteenth and 20th centuries, most countries outside of Europe adopted the Gregorian calendar much later. For instance, Japan adopted it in 1873. Finally, China did in 1912 and Turkey in 1926. Some Eastern Orthodox countries adopted the Gregorian calendar for civil purposes. That means for money. But continue to use the Julian calendar for their religious purposes. For example, Greece, adopted the Gregorian calendar just in 1923. What y'all thinking about this before I go in some more? Huh? Sister Sylvia said, you just got to humble yourself. Forget the indoctrination. Like, so the people that they stand on it. Friday evening, Saturday evening, time ain't never changed. We're sitting here listening to it. Change. We're sitting here listening to it. Let's go back. They say, oh, it ain't never changed since the garden. The Egyptian calendar was used by the ancient Egyptians. It had a year of 365 days divided into 12 months of 30 days each, plus an additional 5 epigomenal days. What is that? Epigomenal. Y'all might make fun of me, but I think that's a funny word. Then it moved to the Babylonian calendar. Hold on. This is funny, man. See, I never know how Yahuwah's going to have me break this stuff down. But I think this is a good way to do it. Don't y'all think? This is slow. Like, come on, let's just talk it out. We ain't got to get all hyped on this, even though I'm going to end up getting hyped. All right, now look. The Egyptian calendar started around 3000 BCE, all the way to 400 CE, post the Mashiach, right? 400 years past. They kept rocking with this thing. Y'all got to understand, different parts of the world was rocking with different systems. Babylonian calendar started approximately 1900 BCE. So 1900 BC. And then that rocked all the way until 539 BC though. It's still before, but it's getting up closer to zero. Then the Hebrew calendar, 1000 BC to the present day still is used today. That's what they say. For certain Jewish religious purposes. And me and Lena can tell y'all how nuts this is. Yisrael, Israel, Hashem. Lena, my wife keeps putting the link to the real calendar in the chat. We got the real calendar for y'all. Y'all never have to guess it. I'm going to put it in the chat too, so y'all see it coming from our side from Promote the Truth as well. Let me put it in the chat because y'all like me. If I was hearing this, I'm like, okay, I ain't got to hear much to hear. This is jacked up. Which calendar should I be on? Glad you asked. It's the most accurate calendar in the world. Real YAHUAH calendar. Puts the whole world on the same page based on the scriptures. Bam! Got it on YouTube. Got it on Facebook. So this is the nuts part about those who call themselves Yahudim but are not. They like to go by the name Jews. Wherever they got that from, I have no idea because you know there's no letter J. We don't call ourselves Jews. We're Yahudim. Watch this. For certain Jewish religious purposes, they will use their calendar. Guess what that calendar will be based on? Almost exactly like our calendar. Tell them, Lena. Almost exactly like our calendar. Except they keep Friday to Saturday for the Sabbath. We lived in dominant Jewish neighborhoods, affluent Jewish neighborhoods. And me and Lena used to watch it. Because they would be in the backyard preparing for a Sukkot, and we'd be getting ready to go for Sukkot, and they'd be looking at us going, what y'all doing? We said, well, we're getting ready for Sukkot. They're like, for real? They would be shocked. And we'd be wondering, why y'all keep the Sabbath from Friday to Saturday? That's just an orthodox rule to get along with the ways of the world driven by money. Not going to do that. But see, that's another calendar. Then you got the ancient Greek calendars that came into effect 800 BC to after 400 CE. What did Lena say? Yep, the funny part is that for Sukkot, they did the Shabbat and beginning Sukkot like on a Tuesday, and then they turn around and do Shabbat again on a Friday. Yeah, it was crazy. We would watch them running and scrambling. All right, so you got the ancient Greek. So they saying the calendars ain't been switched. The calendars ain't been changed. Which calendar was your great ancestors keeping? Which one of these? Think about that question. So everybody that's hooked on, it ain't been changed. Tell me which one of these I'm naming hasn't been changed since the beginning of creation. All right, so then after that, you got the pre-Julian calendar from 753, so Julius Caesar, 753 BC until 45 BC. Used from the founding of Rome until the introduction of the Julian calendar. Then the Julian calendar came in 45 BC and ran all the way up to 1582 with varying end dates in different regions. So the calendar would end at different times in different regions. Then you got the Gregorian calendar, 1582, introduced by Pope Gregory the 13th to reform the Julian calendar. But out there today, you still have the Islamic calendar that started in 622 CE or AD, right? There's still the Mayan calendar that dates 2000 BC, and that ran all the way up to 16th century. used by the Mayan civilization. And you've got still running the Chinese calendar that started in the 14th century to present. And they use it for their traditional and ceremonial purposes. Then you got the Indian calendars that started in the 4th century CE or AD, right? Varying by region, many in use from 4th century CE to the present, including the Hindu Lunar-Solar calendar. Which calendar y'all gonna use to keep Yahuwah's appointed times? Is it? Yeah, I'm not done what I'm doing today. Not like this. Not like this. Watch this question. Watch this. Watch this answer I'm about to give you out here. I'm gonna ask you a question, give you an answer. Y'all gonna crack up, but I go through some of this. The Egyptian calendar had 10-day weeks. Why is that important to understand that the Egyptian calendar, like one of the most ancient calendars, they had 10-day weeks, fam. They had their months divided in 3. 10-day calendar. I ain't done yet. Mike, I ain't done yet. Babylonian calendar has 7 days. Hebrew calendar, 7 days. Ancient Greek calendar varies. Roman calendar, 7 days. Gregorian calendar, 7 days. Islamic calendar, 7 days. Mayan calendar, 13-day weeks. 13-day weeks. Y'all see the problem? I'm making you identify a problem. Which one of these calendars are they saying has never been changed from the creation, and they can document that? They can't do it. I'm telling you, it's impossible for a human being to go all the way back and look at papyrus and all that. They'll be jacked up because you're going to get to where you start dealing with these 10-day weeks and all these different weeks. You're going to get jacked up. It ain't going to be too long before you find great grandma and granddaddy, they was rocking 10-day weeks. It ain't going to be too long. You're going to find some doing 13-day weeks. You're going to find some doing 8-day weeks. Think about what I'm saying here. The pre-Julian Roman calendar, remember one before they instituted the Julian calendar? The pre-Julian, that had an 8-day week. This is how dangerous this is. So, the only way that we as people that want to follow the truth, we have to go to the scriptures and we got to listen to the evidence of how Yahuwah told us to keep time. Because I'm going to prove, I need to still disprove this thing, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. Now, I'm in Leviticus 23, and we just got to Feast of Trumpets, Teruah, Yom Teruah. He said you got to keep that on a day. Now, let me tell you the second scripture that people like to do the evening to evening thing. They're going to go to this one next. Listen. They're going to start in verse 26 of Leviticus 23, verse 26. YAHUAH, Leviticus 23, 26. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, on the 10th day of this seventh new moon is Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. Everybody, he identified it was a day that Yom Kippur happens. All right? Now watch what he does. It is a set apart gathering for you, and you shall afflict your beings. I mean, you got to go into deep thought. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. You shall do no manner of work on that day, because it is a day of atonement, a Yom Kippur, to make atonement for you before Yahuwah, your Elohim. On that day, any person that is not afflicted, that is deeply saddened for their sin, that person shall be cut off from their people. And any person that does any manner of work on that day, I will destroy that person from among their people. You shall do no manner of work. It is a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is a complete Shabbat of solemn rest for you, and you shall afflict your beings. Now watch what it says. So it told us this is going down on that day. Everything's accountable to that day. And then it says, on the ninth day of this new moon, beginning at evening, from evening to the next evening, you shall keep this as a Shabbat's rest. For what? For Yom Kippur. So he told us specifically, do it from evening to evening on Passover, the Pesach. And then he told us again, I want you to do it from evening to evening for Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. He's telling us the two times only. In all of Scripture, he only tells us to keep it from evening to evening two times. We know it because that's the sixth festival. The seventh and final festival is coming up. And he said, speak to the children of Yisrael and say, on the first day, speak to the children of Yisrael, saying, on the 15th day of the seventh new moon is the Feast of Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Booths, for 7 days to Yahuwah. On the first day is a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. On the 8th day there shall be a set apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. This closes the festival for the assembly. You shall do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, which you are to proclaim as set apart gatherings. See? Why didn't he tell us on Sukkot started from the evening before? Why didn't he tell it? Because Yahuwah is very specific about what he wants us to do. He wants us specifically to keep 2 of his appointed times, which are high Shabbats. He wants us to keep 2 in the course of a year from evening to evening. That's it, just 2. The rest of them, he tells us to do them during the day, not from evening to evening. He says do it from day. He didn't say do it for 24 hours. And we know how he defines a day. Because Yahushua, when he walked on the earth, he says, are there not 12 hours in a day? It's daylight. This is very specific, day. There's a difference between, what people get confused is the difference between the word day and the word date. A day is the sunlight hours. A date includes the night hours and makes up the 24-hour period. That's what will give you a date to put a number on. But the day will only always be daylight hours. Y'all follow me? So people say, he said work for 6 days. So let's go. I'm going very meticulous here on the new moon. If you got to rush and get out, I understand. But you shouldn't be going nowhere other than with your family. You can't spend no money today. Right? Can't do no servile work. Can't do business. Conduct business. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go to Shamut. And we're going to read the commandment. So we don't have to guess. We're going to stop real quick and we're going to read the fourth commandment. That's all we got to do. We got to just read the commandment and we got to take the commandment because we see how specific Yahuwah is about his appointed times. He will tell us specifically what we're supposed to do, right? Everybody agree with that? We all been here. I'm watching the chat. Any blowback on what I'm saying? If it is, this ain't going to work for you. If it's not, then you need to agree and put some fire emojis in the chat. If this is like burning your soul going, I love this. I don't have to guess no more. I love this. Hey, I'm telling you what they're going to use. They'll use chapter 12, verse 18. I'm giving y'all the key. I get the key verses they're going to use is in Leviticus. They'll bounce over and they'll say, watch, Shamut, Exodus chapter 12, verse 18. In the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, starting at evening until the evening of the 21st day of the first new moon, you shall eat unleavened bread. But he already told us what happens on the 14th day. And when we eat the Pasah, when we eat the Passover lamb, we are to eat it with unleavened bread. But the Passover is not matzah, and matzah is not the Passover. But we're going to eat unleavened bread for the course of the week because it's going to be inclusive of eating unleavened bread on the Pasah, and we're going to eat the unleavened bread during the matzah. So it's simple. Then we're going to go read the commandment. It ain't a suggestion. It's a commandment. Verse 8, chapter 20. Exodus 20, verse 8. The real name for Exodus is Shamut. Now what? Shamut. Remember the Sabbath day. See how he was on point about these days. And when he wanted us to do something in the evening, he just said it. He will say it here if he wants us to do it. He'll say it. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it set apart. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohah. You do not do any work on it. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates. People visiting you, they got to shut it down. Don't come visit me. For in 6 days, Yahuwah created the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. Then he rested on the seventh day. Therefore, Yahuwah blessed the Shabbat day and set it apart. That's the whole commandment. That's the whole commandment. Hey, Blake, we don't bring it up. People don't get it. We don't talk about it. I want y'all to get great at that. Anybody that don't do it, you don't mention it, you don't talk about it, ain't everybody going. And what you do when you bring it up and you talk about it, you steal your joy, and then it shows that you're not mature in the word. Y'all heard me talking about a bunch of crazy people. Remember the Shabbat day. Now, to keep it set apart. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. All right. Now that brings the question. No, Thomas, we hate Jesus. That's how you deal with that, Blake. See? No, we hate Jesus. Jesus is a pagan. It's meant to deceive you, and Jesus ain't welcome in here. Jesus get blasted in here. I'm not trying to be funny, man, but you came in the wrong spot if you put that name in the chat. Snipers is watching now. They on the roof. They already on the roof. See, I gotta look at the chat. They're like, damn Jesus. They don't hear nothing about no Jesus. We hate Jesus. We're hostile against Jesus. The hell with Jesus. Jesus done fooled too many people. We know Jesus is Satan, like for real, for real. Brandon said, God damn Jesus. Hallelujah. We don't mess with no Jesus, man. Ain't gonna happen around here. Blake said, get Jesus out of here. You can't help it, man. People pop in. Now, when I tell people that are hooked on Jesus, they hooked on this world calendar. The world calendar is what's got y'all to Jesus. Y'all don't realize it. Because they want you to worship Jesus, Jesus, the sun god. That's who Jesus is. Jesus is the sun god that don't even exist. It's just a figment of imagination. All right, I had to get a chuckle out of that. I'm like, man, it'd be like a like a gazelle walking up in a pack of lions, going, "Hey, y'all got some grass to eat in here?" Can you imagine a gazelle walking in a pack of lions asking for some grass to eat? Hey, can I get some? Y'all point me to where I can eat some grass. That gazelle wouldn't last 3 seconds. That's how it will be with the real ones of Yahuwah. you walking up in a lion's den. You understand what I'm saying? For real, for real. Woo! You walk around, promote the truth, boy. You dealing with some lions in the word. We building up real strong people in Yahuwah. And we taking our time to tear it down. That's right. Yeah, sometimes it'll fall on side, but based on that, Daniel, they got the great question. What is the 7th day? See, that's where people get jacked up. He didn't say go 7 consecutive days and then wait another 7 consecutive days. He said, remember the Shabbat day. How do you identify what is the Shabbat day? Remember the Shabbat day. Then you got to say, well, how do I tell? Now, almost everybody's going to go run over to the world's calendar trying to get the Shabbat day. And Satan got traps all over the place. Saturn's day. He got people arguing about Saturday and Sunday. That's a trap. Get them arguing about Saturday and Sunday. Get them arguing about it. Tell them that Sunday's the pagan day. Then you got all these people like the Seventh-day Adventists and those, hey, they hooked on Saturday. But they don't understand. They worshiping Saturn. Because you understand, Yahuwah did not, there's nothing in scriptures that says he set up a continual 7-day pattern. You can't find one scripture. Nothing. Nothing. There's not one scripture. Notice he didn't say every 7 days you shall keep the Shabbat. He starts out with saying, remember the Shabbat day. Now, the key in there is remember. Nobody's broke that part down yet, I don't think. The key is remember. Remember what? Remember the Shabbat day. But what am I supposed to remember is how I'm to identify the Shabbat day. So he tells me how to remember. He had to remind them when they brought him out of Matzar. That's Egypt. He had to remind them. That's why he said, remember, I taught you. I'm teaching you what to do. I already gave it to you. Now watch. Where did he give it to us at? In Barashiyt. See, in Barashiyt, chapter 1, like I'm telling you, watch this. I'm about to tear something down. Watch it. I'm going to tear something down. Watch this. Yahuwah gave it to me before I've never done what I'm about to do. Watch this. Everybody get ready. You'll get all the different versions y'all can get. Okay? Come on, South Africa in the building. Athenia. Everybody get ready to get your verses. I want y'all to get, I'm going to tell you. Y'all going to see how much nonsense this is and why y'all going to love the true scriptures. Watch this. Yamani, you loving this, sis? Yamani, wait till you see what happens here. Wait till you see what happens. Yeah, this is going to be another one go, uh-huh. All y'all going to be like, oh, my goodness. How come I never questioned that? Okay. I want y'all to go put in. I want y'all to put in Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Every version you can find. I want the clean name versions, the pagan name version. I want Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Put it in the chat and let's look at the nonsense. Watch this. This is going to blow their argument up too. Yahuwah told me, y'all saw him work in my spirit. He says, tear them down from the beginning. That's right, Brother Daniel. Y'all wait till y'all see this. Y'all wait, and then you see the true scriptures. Watch. Okay. Blake's got from the Sefer. And Elohim, that's a pagan name, by the way. Can't have no E's, and he's not plural. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So he's telling us that when it's light, that's day. When it's dark, that's night. Now look at that, Blake. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Blake, anything you see a problem with that? All right, I'm going to go to the scriptures, 2009, out of South Africa. And Elohim, we know it's pagan name, called the light day and the darkness he called night. And there came evening and there came morning one day. Anybody see a problem yet? Because y'all been working with me. Y'all been learning. Anybody see a problem? RSV version. God, pagan, called the light day and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning the first day. Anybody see a problem yet? NIV, big time known version. God called the light day, God is a pagan name, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning the first day. Any problem yet? The Peshitta Holy Bible translated. No, it's going to be funny. So they say Peshitta and they put the word G-O-D, I know they tripping. And God called the light the day, and the darkness he called the night, and it was evening, and it was dawn, day one. Anybody see a problem yet? I'm going to read a couple more, then I'm going to go see what we got. And God called the light day, this is amplified, God, pagan name, hallelujah. He called the light day and the darkness he called night, and there was evening, and there was morning, one day. Hallelujah, scriptures. And Elohim, that's a pagan name, called the light day and the darkness he called night, and there came to be evening, even, and there came to be morning, day one. All right. Anybody see a problem? How can evening to morning equal one day? I want y'all to ask somebody describe that for me. Can you explain that? Eileen said Dave was giving more than one definition to all English translations currently before the true scripture. Yay! But Yahuwah is specific. They're calling day and night day. See, as even in the same verse, they contradict themselves. Y'all see it or not? Even in the same verse, they're contradicting themselves. Why? Because it said, Yahuwah called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. Is it possible to go from the evening? Now watch, y'all. It's the evening. So now the sun is setting. All right, the sun is setting. And now we're going to be in night. We're going all the way through the night. And it says morning, right when the dawn breaks. So it's counting all the darkness as the day. Who would do such a thing? Who would call all the darkness light? He comes as a messenger of light. There it is. Shatan comes as a messenger of light. How he gets you hooked was in Genesis 1:5. You hooked from the gate. You've been walking in darkness all your life. I mean, Lorena, what are we going to do with this? Evening passed, morning came, marking the first. What marked the first day? Look, Queen go, that's crazy. Like, what marked the first day? Evening and morning marked the first day? Curdy Gray, does it make any sense? Can anybody make sense of this? Hey, and Lena just brought up, they start the Roman pagan, this calendar, this title, the world's Roman pagan Gregorian calendar. When does the day start? Everybody put it in the chat. Lena just asked it. When does the Roman pagan's day start? On the calendar you got now, all around the world, when does the date, when does the next date start? When? Y'all seeing what y'all putting in the chat? Can y'all believe what the spell that people are under? Midnight, 12 a.m., they say around the world is when a day begins. Which is it? The ones that call themselves Yahudi but are not, quote, Jews, they say it starts when the sun sets at evening. But then the Roman calendar says, no. It starts at midnight. Middle of the night. Midnight. Who would want to take you and have you believe that it's light in the middle of the night? Who would want you to believe that that's when things begin? Blake is going, thank you, Yehovah. Am I making it make sense, Blake? Look at Daniel. Oh, hell no. Look. You've been living your whole life in the darkness. You've been living your whole life in darkness. Come on, Sister Patience. We've been living our whole lives, all the people around us, believing that a day starts in the night. Donna Steele said, my car insurance says that my insurance runs out at 12:01 a.m. That ain't right. When do they do the big celebration around the world? When do they celebrate the new year? When do they celebrate the new year? When does the whole world, the beast goes and it deceives the entire, when does the entire world do a big old celebration and people are hugging and fireworks are going off and people, when do they do it? Who made them do that? Who made them say, let's have our greatest celebration of the year? I'm telling you, it's the number one celebration of the year. Festive, parties, music, entertainment. It's wide open. Midnight. Is this the ways of Yahuwah? Come on, Brother William. Is this the ways of Yahuwah? I don't think this is the ways of Yahuwah, fam. This can't be right. Would y'all agree? This can't be right. Like, we got food. This can't be right. I'm about to bring Brother Daniel in here. They just told me to agree sitting in the link. This can't be right. Like, we got to stop and think. We got to just stop and think. Once we stop and think and we stop getting along and going along to go along, watch the freedom that comes. Watch it. You watch the freedom that comes, you're going to be blown away. Once you come out of that darkness, you're going to be blown away. You're not going to wonder. You're not going to wish. You ain't going to be, all this is nonsense. I like that. I like what Elton said. Hold on. Elton Joseph says, if the day begins at night, then when does the night begin? Elton, that's the bomb question. Elton said, if the day begins at night, then when would the night begin? Jermaine Wright, they celebrate that darkness like a cult. It is. The whole world is under a cult called Satanism. And it's disguised as an angel of light. Fireworks, churches, robes, angels. They got all this stuff, man. They light it up. They try to get you all this stuff to look like it's light. And it's dark. It's midnight. Didn't I tell y'all? Now I'm going to put, how many of y'all want me to put the true scriptures? Barashiyt, Genesis chapter 1, verse 5 in the chat. Who want me to put it in the chat? Who wants me to put it in the chat? I'm going to see if y'all want me to put it in the chat. I don't know. Y'all want me to put it in the chat? Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. When you see it, I got to get some fire emojis. I need 20 fire emojis. We're going to put it in the chat. I'm going to dial it up. I'm going to believe y'all going to get the fire emojis. Because we got to light it up for Yahuwah. Get the algorithm. Y'all see the numbers going up. Y'all see more people having an opportunity to get saved. Everybody that's here, you got an opportunity to get really saved. You're not really saved. It's a high probability you're not really saved. Because you hooked on the wrong calendar. That means you can't keep the Shabbat right. If you break the fourth commandment, you break them all. You can only keep the Shabbat right when you get on the right calendar. Brother Daniel, hang tight. I see you. That's the only way you can do it. Boy, Javor's got us lit up with some fire emojis. True Scriptures version, baby. Come on with it. We about to bring it, Brother Daniel. Wait till y'all see this. And tell me if it makes sense. That's all I want to know. I just want to know if it makes sense. All right, ready? We got the fire emoji, Brother Daniel. 1, 2, bam! Did y'all pick that up all the way on YouTube? Let me make sure y'all picked it up on YouTube as well. Come on. Did y'all pick it up? Yep, we got it. I'll bring Brother Daniel in here. Can you read it, Brother Daniel? Can you see it? Can you see the True Scriptures 1:5? I know you got all your operations going on over there. You look kind of blurry too, by the way. Can you hear me, Brother Daniel?
Second. I can hear you. I just had to shut the live down.
YAHUAH! All right, I'm gonna read it, Brother Dan. Can you see to read it, or can you not see to read it?
Let me see. I can't see it. It would.
All right, I'm gonna read it.
Oh, I got it.
Go ahead. Go ahead, read it.
Okay, it says.
Sure, you got it.
And the Lord called the light day, and the darkness he called night. There's so many people. Yeah, it says, he called the night day. The light day, and the darkness he called night. After the first day had completed, then the evening and morning came. This formed the first date.
Does that make sense to you, Brother Dave?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the brother asked, so if the night starts in the day starts in the night, so when does the night start?
That's a great question. Y'all look at that. He says, Yahuwah called the light day. And so what happens is he's been working. So now he's done working. And he looks at what he created. He says, all right, I created the light and the darkness. I've separated them. Now I'm going to call the light day. I'm going to call the darkness night. Then after the first day had completed, then the evening and morning came. This formed the first date. See, now we know how to do it. Never did you ever get confused reading that verse when they were? I mean, to me, it never made sense to me.
No.
They gonna say, then there came evening, and then there was morning, the first day. How can evening and the morning be?
I want to tell you this: the reason why it makes sense is because I didn't know any better at the time. I just went by what somebody told me. I was just so happy to be in the Word and be out of that lifestyle and out of that turmoil I was in. Not knowing that I'm going back into something that's even way more deceptive than what I came out of.
Hey, Sister Sarah Hoke said, it's amazing what an accurate translation will tell you.
Clarity is beauty, like I said. When it's clear, it's beautiful.
Think about how simple we're making this, y'all. Like that translation makes it so easy for the world. And guess what? There's not one in the world that says it that clear. Now, the reason I brought Brother Daniel on this, happy New Moon Day, by the way, Brother Daniel. Happy New Moon Day,
Moon Day, brother. Family, right? Happy New Moon Day.
Now, the reason I brought you on is because you're one of the 8 people that's been selected, and you are doing the review on the Barashiyt Hadash, on the New Testament from the True Scriptures that you've been seeing your brother work tirelessly translating the past 6 months, which would normally take somebody a couple years. But I got this thing done in 6 months with a great team of help people that were supporting. So Daniel's been in there for the past right around 24 hours. First of all, can you testify that Matati Yahu, Matthew, all the way to Hazun Revelation, can you testify to the kahal, to the body, the assembly? Can you testify that I have in fact translated it, Matthew to
Absolutely.
Revelation?
Absolutely. Put my right hand to Yahuwah. It is complete. It is finished. As Yahuwah said, it is finished.
All we doing now is reviewing. So now Brother Daniel's part is really all about grammar now, getting the grammar tight, couple tweaks here. What have you experienced in these hours since you've been in the true scriptures, real Barashiyt Hadash with this real translation? Give a testimony to the family if you don't mind.
I put this on Yahuwah, that you did a mighty work, because what I've read so far, I'm glad I threw my old Bibles in the trash, because that's what it was, trash. It's so clear. It's so easy to read. You know how when you used to read the word and get a headache? I don't have a headache, and I have bad eyesight right now, and I can see clearly. I can see. I don't even need these to read that. It's so clear. And I'm telling you, family, we got some fire coming. We got some fire coming. We got some fire.
I hear that. So,
everything
Brother Dan, he's been in there.
Everybody contributed. Everything that all the sweat, all the lives being on here, supporting everything. It's for real. It's for real. It's coming. We coming. We're gonna change. We're gonna change the world by this.
Now, what's happening is we got some events coming up on Monday. We have a big telethon happening. So this team, this translation support team, Brother Daniel, people like Sister Yamani, she's in there now. We're watching them. They're in there, and it's a live environment that we're working in. So we're gonna have them give y'all an update after these 2 or 3 days. So they're gonna go hard all the way till Sunday. Our goal is by Monday to give it to the typesetter. Once we give it to the typesetters, they're going to take about a week or so, and then they're going to come back and say, you approve this format, this layout? We go, yes. We send it to the printers. Brother Daniel, what do you think is going to happen when that book gets over to that printers and all of a sudden it's made available to the world? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, there's going to be the separation between the sheep and the goats. The path that was narrow is going to get real narrow. We can walk down it. Now everybody's going to go down the sideways, because you're going to have to believe that the word of Yahuwah is true, and every man's been lying. They've been lying to us.
Y'all hear that?
You're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to make a choice who you 10 toes down with, Yahuwah or Lucifer.
Isn't that a trip? It's a trip, man. So you got any more testimony you want to give on this calling that Yahuwah's put on you?
Oh, man. Oh, man. Praise Yahuwah. I thank each and every member of the PTT family, because it's full of love. We stand on the truth. We support and love each other. Pastor J, Elder J, Teacher J, called out one J by Abba Yahuwah, called you for this mighty work. Sister Lena in support. Young Kai supporting. The PTT staff. This is all real, and it's going to make an impact, and we all have a part of it. We have a mission. It's the greatest mission, like Brother Daniel Libby said. This is the greatest work since Yahusha walked on this earth.
Brother Daniel Libby, put that in the chat. Put that comment up, Brother Daniel. I want to see Brother Daniel put it up, because that's a prophecy. That's a prophetic word. When I saw it, I said, that's a prophetic word.
Yes, sir.
That's a prophetic word. Well, listen, man, I just want to have you come on and say hi. I want to let you get back in the trenches. I want y'all to hear a witness. They're in there. There's 8 people now that are in there that Yahuwah has called out for this assignment. Guess what? We opened it up. Some people reached out. We gave a time. Got to be ready when we give that time. They was ready.
And I'd like to thank Sister Melanie and Sister Sherry.
Yeah, man.
For the mighty work that they're doing, and the leading they giving in regards to what those of us that are going to do the translating and rereading right now.
Unbelievable. These two warriors for Yahuwah.
Yeah.
Look what Brother Daniel said. I'm going to put it on the screen. Let's go. Brother Daniel said, he said, the true scriptures is the most important work to be done and preached to the four corners of the earth. And then the end will come and Yahuwah will burn it up.
Yahuwah!
He will burn it. He waiting for us to get the real word to the all corners of the earth. That's what's happening. Brother Daniel, I love you with all I got. Thank you for coming on, giving us a shout out. We're going to be bringing you back on Monday, so be ready.
Kingdom business up in here.
Kingdom business. That's your brother Daniel, y'all. You know, that's great. So hopefully this has helped y'all today. Thank you, Sister Emily, and everybody that's done the supers and contributed. What I want y'all to do is we get ready to do the big push. I want you to go over to tsnt.org. If y'all want to be a part of this, we're going to close this out as far as the TSNT portion. Now we know we're real solid, and I thank all the people that are involved in the project that are now part of the support team. They see how close we are. So we're solid on the 30th of June, being the closeout. And so before we move into the Tanakh business, the Old Testament, so we want y'all to do us a favor. Go over to tsnt.org. This is the month of the launch. Yahuwah's calling. You don't have to worry about if he's calling you or not. He's calling for you to go and sow into his word. There ain't been no real word on the earth in English. And from English, they took it into all these other languages outside of Aramaic and real Abari. Even with the Abari, the Hebrew, they done vowel pointed it up and then threw all kind of smoke screens. It's the Pharisees that still try to hide Yahuwah. They hate Yahusha, that he is Yahuwah. They still try to bury it through their translations. But Yahuwah sent some people, and myself and the team over here, we've been able to go through the weeds way before any of y'all come around. This goes all the way back to 2007. And we literally have been working over these years. And then he called us about 2.5 years ago. And he said, y'all do the translation. Because I kept looking for a translation. And I kept having to translate the translations that I kept getting. And it was just like obvious. One day it was like, you do the translation. And before I said anything to anybody, I was spending at least 2 hours a day. And I still got businesses and stuff to run. But I was spending, Lena will tell you, my dad will tell you, he's wanting to go fishing. I'm like, Dad, I got to put 2 hours in every day minimum. Like your brother Daniel. Lena, put the real Sabbath, put the real calendar in there. Shatan wants to know the real calendar, the real Sabbath, which was yesterday, which is now going to be for the next 4, quote, Fridays, the next 4. So starting next Friday, the next 4 will be Shabbat because the new moon is today. So I'm going to teach y'all, then we're going to be out of here. The new moon day starts the new month. It's its own day. And its only purpose is to mark the day for the new month and have you look up and praise Yahuwah, then look back, thank him for bringing you through another month, then look back up and thank him again for what he's going to do for you this next month until the next new moon. Now he said he going to do this from one new moon to the next new moon. Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu 66:23. That's Isaiah 66:23. He said we're going to go from one new moon to the next new moon, from one Shabbat to the next Shabbat. We're going to do this for all eternity. So if you don't like the new moon, you ain't going to like Yahuwah because we're going to keep doing new moon. He going to keep time. When we step into eternity, he still told us we're going to do new moon to new moon. Come on with it. See ya. What's that? Naturally Nisi in the building. So it's as simple. How do we keep time? How do we do it? We're in Barashiyt chapter 1. We just identified that verse 5 of Genesis 1:5 in all translations are nonsense. Everybody agree with that? We couldn't find one translation to make it make sense, like them young people say. Make it make sense. We couldn't find one until I put the True Scriptures translation up. As soon as I put that up, everybody went, I get it. I get it. That's how all the True Scriptures going to be. You're going to be going, I get it. Now we go down to verse 14, chapter 1, verse 14. And Yahuwah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to divide the day from the night. And let these lights be for signs, for appointed times, for days and years. So he told us in verse 14 what the lights are to do. They're going to be a sign. What's the first sign these lights are going to be? The first sign is the Shabbat. That's how important this is. I'm going to prove it. Watch this. I'm going to prove something for y'all. I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to go somewhere, and then I'm going to prove that when he said that the lights, the sun and the moon, are going to be first and foremost for signs. He says that's the most important thing you got to understand. This is going to be a sign. And you heard me say, many are going to say, Master, Master on that day. He going to say, I never knew you. You want to know why? Because you ain't got your sign on. You're not signed up with him. You got to get signed up with him. Now watch what happens when I read you this. Some of y'all going to be tore up. Some of y'all, it's going to be tough for y'all to sleep because y'all got a breakthrough like you've never had before. I'm going over to Shamut, Exodus. I'm going to chapter 31. And I'm going to read you something. I'm going to go to verse 12. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe saying, speak to the children of Israel saying, my Shabbats. He didn't say my Shabbat at first. He said my Shabbats. That's his appointed times. That's the weekly. I'm going to tell you what Shabbats are. That's the weekly Shabbat. That's the new moon day. And that's the 7th feast. That's his Shabbats. That's it. You ain't got to guess. All right? You got 7 feasts. And then you got the new moon. And you got the Shabbat. He goes, my Shabbats you are to guard by all means. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations to know that I, Yahuwah, am setting you apart. There it is. Look at how important this is. You literally are getting saved by what you're hearing. Because if you don't have this sign right with Yahuwah, you're not going in because he told you to guard it by all means. That means you got to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, you don't move. You say, I got it, Yahuwah. I'm going to guard it now. How do I guard it? He told you the lights. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. And Yahuwah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for appointed times. See the congruency? Consecutive. I'm telling you it's going to be for signs. Then I gave you my appointed times. Then he says what? And for days. Now he says it's calendar time. That's why nobody that says that the new moon is not attached to the weekly Shabbat, they are lying. They are anti-Mashiach because Yahuwah said that the lights are to give us the calculation of days and years. How can that not be calendar? How can verse 14, can you come and tell me that verse 14 is not regarding the calendar? What? It's just nonsense to say that. Genesis 1:14. I'm reading from the True Scriptures. And let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And Yahuwah made the 2 great lights. The greater light was called the sun to rule the day. The lesser light was called the moon to rule the night and the stars. So when he says, remember the Shabbat day, it's based upon when is that sun out. But how am I going to get to the day without knowing when does the day begin and when does the month begin? So the day, does it begin in the evening? We done said no. Does the day begin at midnight at 12:01? We've all concluded no. When does a day begin? When does the light come out? Y'all got that? This ain't difficult. So as soon as we see a crack of light, Yahuwah is telling us, here comes your day. When we don't see no more light, they call it dusk, not sunset. Sunset is the day is still there because the sun is setting. The sun completely sets, that's dusk. Guess what? That's night. Simple. We ain't got to guess for nobody. And then we hear that Yahuwah said, you are to guard it by all means, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Exodus 31:12. 14. And you shall guard the Shabbat because it is set apart to you. Everyone that violates the Shabbat shall surely be put to death. That's why we're warning you on here. We're warning you on here because you're going to go stand before Yahuwah Mashiach. And if you go up to him and say, Master, Master, I had great intent. I was working to get it straight. I had a job and I couldn't. He ain't going to hear none of that. Master, Master, we did some great things for you. I gave to the poor. I helped the homeless. He ain't going to hear none of that. The first thing on your report card, he's going to look down and say, did you guard my ways? You keep my commandments. Did you guard them? You're going to have a 10-question test to pass. You got, listen, all these tests you took all these years is now came down to 10 questions. What grade are you going to get on the 10 questions? That's what this is coming down to. First question, I am Yahuwah. If you don't know his name, you're going to fail that test. You're going to fail that question. I am Yahuwah who brought you out of the land of Matzar, Egypt. We get the word misery from. Out of the house of bondage. You are to have no other Elohim before me. You're to have none. So do you got other Elohim? Do you call Yahuwah Elohim or Elohim? Then you got multiples. He said you can't have no Elohim in front of me. 2, I am Yahuwah. You are to have no graven images. You are not to create anything that's an image. Y'all want to learn about Yahuwah's name? Go to thenamevideo.com. We got over 400,000 views on that video. For real, for real. Go to the name video. Lena was on that one. Y'all learn about the truth? Go to thenamevideo.com. Over 400,000 views, man. Little old me, country boy, sits down and writes out a script a couple years ago to explain the truth. Now it's over 400,000 people. Talk to me. You're going to be put to death if you don't get it. You got 10 questions. Do not bring the name of Yahuwah, your Elohim, to nothing. To not. Don't do it. It's got to be the most important. Question 4. Did you remember the Shabbat day to keep it set apart? I was keeping Friday evening and Saturday evening. Get away from me. I never knew you. You worker of lawlessness. You was hooked on Pope Gregory, that pagan. You want to know where he's at? Look down. See him burning down there? You get ready to go right in with him. Julian. See where he's at? Down there burning. You going right with him. You didn't think enough to use your brain to go, I told you in the word that you're to keep time based on the great lights. I told you it was for keeping days. You didn't know what that meant? You ain't going to be able to have no excuse. That's the point of all of this. This is the excuse removing session. What y'all want to do with this? 6 days work is to be done. But the seventh day is a Shabbat of complete rest, set apart to Yahuwah. Whoever does any work on the Shabbat day shall certainly be put to death. He says it again, twice. And the children of Yisrael shall guard the Shabbat. So if you're part of Yisrael, that you can't be with Yahuwah without being a part of Yisrael. The children of Yisrael shall guard the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. It's eternal. It is a sign, says it again, between me and the children of Yisrael forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and he was refreshed. He wants to do the same thing. And when he completed speaking to Moshe on Mount Sinai, he gave Moshe the 2 stone tablets of the covenant witness, written with the finger of Eluah. After he said this, he gave him the commandments. Y'all think how serious this is? Before he gave Moshe the commandments, he said, now look, I'm going to give you 10, and one of them is going to be a sign between me and the people. Now, how do we know how to keep the Shabbat? Well, you've been in misery. You've been in Matzah. You've been in Egypt. You've been in the house of bondage. You've been in Christianity. You've been in organized religion. You've been in traditionalism. You've been in mama and daddyism, grandma and granddaddyism. You've been in aunts and uncleism. You've been ism to death. You're in bondage and you are held captive. And now you can be set free. Because Yahuwah is going to tell you exactly what he told them after 400 years. They was jacked up. The Egyptians was keeping 10 days. They were keeping 10-day weeks. Nobody was keeping the Shabbat during that time. Y'all get that? Nobody's keeping the Shabbat. 400 years. Let's go to Shamut and we're done. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Come on. Let's see if I'm telling the truth. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. This is like almost shocking how simple this is. Chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Now he done brought them out of, they done had to come, about a million of these people come out of Egypt, out of Matzah. They're out in the desert. They're heading over to Mount Sinai, right? He's traveling, he's getting them over there. They working their way to Mount Sinai, which is Mount Sinai. And then Yahuwah says this to Moshe and his brother Aaron. Yahuwah told Moshe and Aaron while they were in the land of Matzah. So before he brings them out, and they get ready to do this big travel, before he brings them out, see, my mind's going out where they're going. Before he brings them out, they're in the land. And what he's telling them before he brings them out for, he says, y'all got to be having a good pace to get over to the mountain. I'm going to give you something special at the mountain. Now, while you're going, I want you to listen. While they were in the land of Matzah, saying, this new moon that's coming up, when you see a new moon about to happen, this new moon shall mark the beginning of months for you. I don't know how much more plain this can be said. Francois, my brother Francois in the building. I don't know how Yahuwah is literally telling you in the scripture, but if you got the wrong scripture, they might have that all jacked around. But I've got the Codex Leningrad and the Aleppo Codex. and some of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He says, this new moon shall mark the beginning of months for you, and it shall be the first month of the year for you. Is that telling us that he's talking about keeping time in the calendar here, or no? Tell him, Sanders. How many of y'all would agree that Exodus, Shamut, chapter 12, verse 2, Yahuwah is talking about the calendar? Put it in the chat. If y'all believe that Yahuwah, when he says, this new moon shall mark the beginning of months for you, it shall be the first month of the year for you. How many of y'all agree that Yahuwah is talking about this is how you to keep the time? Because he said month, year. Y'all with me? I'm checking out the chat. This new moon shall mark the beginning of months for you. It shall be the first month of the year for you. I don't know what the confusion is about the new moon keeping track of everything. So now watch how simple this is. Why is Yahuwah telling them this? Why is he telling them this? They're in Matzar. They've been keeping 10-day weeks. Now he says, I'm bringing you out. He knows he's going to give them the commandments when they get to the mountain. He ain't gave them the commandments yet. So before he gave them the commandments, he gave them the calendar. I'm going to say it one more time. Juanita's in the building. My sister Juanita, I seen her sneak in here. Before he gave them the commandments, he gave them the calendar. Look at Sister Melanie. So they could keep time, so they could observe the Shabbat and his appointed times. He hasn't yet gave them the appointed times yet. I think it's important for us to put our minds around what hasn't happened yet. They haven't yet got the commandments. They haven't yet got the appointed times. They're getting ready to get the appointed times in just a few verses. So he says, first he says, this is the beginning of months for you. Now, how you going to have a week? How you going to have a month without a week? How you going to have a week without a day? Now, use some common sense. Why does everybody go, oh, no, you can't keep the weekly Sabbath based upon the moon? Why not? He's telling us to do it. He says it's the beginning of the month. What do you do your beginning of month based on? So everybody that don't want to keep the new moon as the beginning month, what are you basing your new month off of? Gregory, Pope, you are a Catholic to the core. Don't be calling on the name of Yahuwah and you following Catholicism. Come on now. Keep it real. Just keep it real. To thy own self be true. I'm reading you a scripture. Is there anybody out there that can tear down Shamut, Exodus chapter 12, verse 2? Is there anybody that can tear down and say that this book coming from Masha, who Yahusha told us to listen to, he said, listen to Masha and the prophets. He said, this new moon shall mark the beginning of months for you. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Speak to the assembly of Israel, saying, on the 10th day of this month. Man, oh man. Now he done took it. He said the month, he said the year, but then he said on the 10th day of this month or new moon, every man shall take a lamb for his family according to the size of his household. What's Yahuwah get ready to do? He get ready to give them the Pesach, the Passover. But he's telling them you got to do it based on my appointed times, not based on when you want to do it. I'm telling you, you are to do all of my appointed times based on the new moon. Period. That's the appointed times. Your year, I'm going to tie it up in the sun. We show you exactly how to do that. Brother Daniel, like, you feel it. If the household is too small for a whole lamb, then they must share it with their closest neighbor. You should have seen all the community promote the truth when we kept Pasaha this year. There's a lot of, it's like more people in the real truth than there's probably ever been. In the real truth. The lamb you shall choose shall be 1 year old, male without blemish. You can choose it from either a sheep or a goat. Now listen, you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So the days are in the months. The day is inside of the month. So how can you say don't keep the Sabbath day and it be inside of the month? But then you go say, yeah, what Yahuwah said right here. What he said right here about the Pasaha, I agree with that. Well, why would you agree with that? And then you don't agree with the Sabbath, the Shabbat. It makes no sense. Your argument is just dead. For real, for real. You lose credibility when you try to argue against this. For real. He said, you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of Yisrael shall slaughter it in the evening. That's why he wanted it done, because it's the Pasaha dinner. It's the meal. It ain't the breakfast. It ain't the lunch. Now, this is before he bringing them out of Matzah. They still in captivity, family, when he's saying this. He said, but if you observe what I'm telling you about my calendar, I'm going to bring you out of captivity. Because he says this, then you shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the beam of the door of the houses in which they are eating. That same night, they are to eat the meat that's roasted with fire. They shall eat it along with unleavened bread, there it is, and bitter herbs. Do not eat any lamb raw or boiled with water. It must be roasted with fire. Now listen to this. This is how you should eat it. You should be dressed with your shoes on your feet and your staff in your hand. You shall eat the meal in a hurry. It is Yahuwah's Pesach, the Passover. I will pass through the land of Matzah that night, and I will slaughter all the firstborn children in the land of Matzah, both humans and animals. I will execute judgment against all the Elohim. That's why you don't call Yahuwah Elohim. You don't say Elohim or Elohim to Yahuwah. He said, I'm going to execute judgment on all Elohim. So why are you going to call him that? Of Matzah. And then he says, I am Yahuwah. He stamped it. He put his seal on it. It's his name. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be a sign on your house where you live. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. No plague will destroy you when I strike the land of Matzah. This day shall be a memorial to you, and you shall keep it as a feast to Yahuwah throughout all your generations. This is a law forever. What y'all gonna do with this? What y'all gonna do with this? All right, I'm done. Many are called, but few choose it. Brother Daniel said it. What y'all gonna do with this? I understand it's tight. I understand it's right. And you got to make a decision. You love Yahuwah, you're going to follow Yahuwah. You're going to follow his calendar. The calendar you serve determines, the calendar you follow determines who you serve. That's a fact. Whatever calendar, whatever way you keep the calendar determines your Alua, or whether you following an Elohim. If you want the real calendar, we've been doing this, y'all, for about 17 years. Blake, put it in the chat already. All you got to do is, it's on Facebook. Somebody put it over here. I'm going to put it in both. Just keep the calendar of Yahuwah. It ain't even difficult. We make it easy for you. And we're building an app for it. We're about to start building an app. There's the calendar. Just follow the calendar. Scroll down to the bottom. We mark the days for you. And we show you, hey, we got your back. You got a family here. We're going to help you. Now, what I want to know is, do y'all believe this is the most important project in history of the world to get this straight? That's what the true scripture is all about. Everything we do is based upon the truth in the scriptures. We got to be able to prove it from the scriptures. If we can't prove it from the scriptures, we don't mess with it. We don't twist them around. We don't take one or two scriptures and have it negate the other ones. We have them all be in agreement. So the true scriptures is in agreement with each other. One scripture agrees with the other. Y'all like that? So if you go to tsnt.org, by the 30th, we're closing it out. If I were you, I'd be a package member. Because your name, watch this. I'm gonna put this up. This is gonna be history. Watch this, Sister Sherry. It's gonna be history. Let me see if I got that. Hopefully I got that t-shirt here. Do I got a t-shirt? Yes, look. This is one that was thrown. Look, your name. That's one I think Sister Amber threw it on the bed. You see, this was everybody that got to a package level. So a bronze package. This is just support to promote this project. Support the team here, promote the project, the initiatives, all of it. If you get to at least bronze by the 30th, your name will be on the next shirt. These are the people that got there by the 31st of December. We did a 7-week run to launch everything, to get the momentum, and we got it. And so that's that list of the first people to believe. Now, this next shirt is everybody from November the 9th, 2023, until June the 30th, all the names that are package holders, that means they got it to at least bronze package, your name will be on the shirt. This is historical. Can you imagine as the years go out and the true scriptures are going tearing everything down around the world, and then you on your social media, you sit there, take a picture of the shirt and then circle your name and say, y'all see this scripture that's tearing this world upside down? I believed in it that much that where I was a package supporter for Yahuwah. You get to say it. Now we got different levels of support that you can do. There's bronze and silver, there's gold, there's platinum and diamond. And we got people that hit every one of those. And you can decide how much you want to believe Yahuwah. But if you go and trust Yahuwah, you got to go at Yahuwah. He says, test me in this. Go to him and say, Father, this project is blessed of you. I'm going to support it. And then I'm going to stand in faith and watch my life. Just keep being busy. Just be faithful. Guard his commandments. So sow into his word and then guard his commandments. Then watch your life and report back. It's going to be a trip. There you go. Get your name on that shirt. Go to tsnt.org, tsnt.org. And I'll catch y'all back here soon. I'm going to go over and do some more reviewing with the team to get these true scriptures to the world. Hopefully your name gets on that shirt.
Only promote the truth.